Uh, my name is Yemi Sharawani, and today we are having the presentation of the paper that is Criticism and Various Literary Theories. So, I am going to present myself with the topic that is Deconstruction in Literary Studies. So, first, I wanted to put a quote by Jacques Derrida when he was present into the interview kind of thing, and speaker was asking about the tradition, what is the idea that Derrida is carrying with the lens of traditional statement. So he is answering that the traditional statement about language is that it is in itself living, and that writing is the dead part of language. Why he is telling the writing is the dead part of language, that we will get to know the answer later on in my presentation. Who is Derrida? Um, he was the founder of Deconstruction. Derrida was born in Algeria and studied philosophy in Paris. He was the philosopher, critic, as well as linguistic, because he has done the theory of deconstructions, and uh, there he has mentioned many kind of aspect of linguistic even. He introduced his philosophy in three books, all published in 1967, that is Writing and Difference, Speech and Phenomena, and Of Grammatology. It is in these works that he uses the word deconstruction, and it remains today as this description of his philosophy. Because when he come to us as a philosopher, the deconstruction word come automatically with him. Now we are going to have an idea that how the deconstruction is going with the literary studies. That is, the Steve Golden has remarked that the deconstruction is complex and nuanced. That we know that every literary theory is somewhere complex, but comparatively, when we see that deconstruction is more complex, when we go to the study the theory, looks at relationships between opposing words or ideas. What it is doing actually, that is, it is looking at the relationship between opposing words or ideas. That we know that binary opposition is working in very well in this idea, that one this both the group which is having the meaning of opposition highlights the injustice present. It is the working under the quota that is highlight the injustice. Injustice means which can be not justified. Still, the deconstruction is going with this idea to get justice with that. Attempts to overturn them, and deconstruction is having goal to be attempted overturn to that ideas. According to Derrida, language is fundamentally and usually subjective, because it is differs reader to reader and individual sense of science. In my next slide, I have mentioned, and we will see by very deep in the idea of science which he has given. But here he is telling that in linguistics, language studies, we know that language is fundamental and usually subjective, and we all are having a very different idea of different science. And then the grammatology he has written as a work significantly. And grammatology is having meaning that the scientific study of writing system. It is the definition by Collins Dictionary. And language is made up of signs. Now he has given the clear idea about how signified and signs is working. Signifier meaning the word sound image. When we heard the sup- suppose, for example, we are hearing the word that is tree, we visualize the word sound image. We get the image in our mind, and that is a very different from each other. Signified that how the word is coming to us, and what the idea the word is wanted to convey to us. And the sign is helping us to understand the signifier and signified process. Steve Golden noted that difference, as Derrida wrote, in Golden's research work, he has noted that Derrida has told that this principle compels us not to the privileged one substance, here the phonic, so-called temporal substance, while excluding another. For example, the graphic, so-called spatial substance, but even to consider every process of signification as a formal play of difference, that is, of traces. He is conveying the idea of traces, how traces are becoming the absence in the process of getting meaning of something which are presented front of us. And we can we can have a glimpses of also the structuralism here when while he is making this point, that he has influenced by structuralism and new criticism as well as. So structuralism developed the idea that the structure of mind is the result of evolutionary and genetically determined biological forces, reflect the biological biases of structure, and that is the cognitive meaning of this whole idea. And structuralism was studying the meaning of or the structure of mind. And structuralism was going with the psychological field more rather than this linguistic marker field. What was the goal of deconstruction? What this theory did was set the stage for the serious questioning of morality, gender roles, and authority in scripture. We know that scriptures all kind of form we have. Scriptures are there to be constructed. And at there we can find that we can give the question or conflict like morality, gender role is a very kind of highlighted idea in that. Deconstruction in literary studies, as I have said that structuralism and new criticism is very effectively covered up in the idea of deconstruction. And now science and meta languages. What is that? Terms and concepts in which the different sign systems could be described. Meta language term is can be used to make us understand that what the other sign is having the another meaning. Generally examine the individual work not as a self-contained artifact, but as a product of relations with other texts or discourses, literary and non-literary. Here I remember the quote which was by Derrida, that he is telling there is nothing outside the text. That he is maybe he is what he want to tell us that the deconstruction is based on a text itself. There is nothing like outside of text, and we can do a process of deconstruction with the text without any intertext idea. Generally examine sorry And another point, he noted that in the United States in the 1970s and 80s, deconstruction played a major role in the animation and transformation of literary studies by the literary theory, which was concerned with questions about the nature of language, the production of meaning, and the relationship between literature and numerous discourses that structure human experience and its histories. Deconstruction treated work of art not as the harmonious fusion of literal and figurative meanings, but as instances of the intractable conflicts between meanings of different types. It is not going a traditional way of criticism, that is figurative criticism or literary criticism, but it is going beyond that, that is the meaning or different type of meanings of text itself. These readings placed special emphasis on the ways in which the works themselves offered implicit critiques of the categories that critics use to analyze them. Implicit critics can be used in this process. And then potential conflict, that is between what a text says and what it does. Actually, exactly what the text want to say to the to the audience or whatever the people who are there, and what in which sense it is going to be processed. Derridian deconstruction consists in an attempt to reconceive the difference that devises self-consciousness, that is the difference of the off in consciousness of oneself, the self, and we think that there is other of but oneself. But even more than the reconception of difference, and perhaps more importantly, deconstruction attempts to render justice. Indeed, deconstruction is restless in this pursuit since justice is impossible to achieve. Now, deconstruction process itself know that this injustice cannot be achieved, but it is going in the path it has started from. This is my work citation.